Hello and welcome to our next lesson in the series of online lessons that we're currently undertaking. And I want to start today's lesson, the start of a new topic, the start of B7, I think it is. I want to start this topic with a question. Does a banana skin on the floor mean you will slip? I want you to pause the video at the moment and have a really good think about that question. Does a banana skin on the floor mean you will slip? Okay, so you should have had a thought about that question, and you should have your own ideas about what you think. However, just because there is a banana skin on the floor does not mean you will slip. I'm sure somewhere in the world right at this moment there is a banana skin on the floor. Okay, if you went to Australia, I'm sure somewhere in Perth there's a banana skin on the floor. But that doesn't mean I'm going to slip. It just means that there is an increased risk of me slipping. If I happen to step on that piece of ground, if I happen to step on that area where the banana skin is found, I could slip. At the same time, I could slip anyway. I could slip whether there's a banana skin there or not. It just increases my chances of slipping. So today's title, as always, I would like you to write the title in your book, please, looking at risk factors. As I said, this is the start of a new topic. Let me just have a quick look in my book, what B that actually is. We are looking at B7, okay? So this is the start of B7. By the end of this lesson today, you should be able to recall some causes for non-communicable diseases. You should be able to describe how lifestyle can affect non-communicable disease, and you should be able to explain how lifestyle can affect non-communicable diseases. So again, I would like you to write this title in your book. This is the start of B7. I know a lot of you like to write in your books that this is the start of B7. And we can begin. So, just to refresh your memory, we did do this quite a while ago now. A non-communicable disease. Non-communicable disease. Now, a non-communicable disease is a disease that is not infectious, you cannot catch it from someone, and it is not caused by pathogens. So, a non-infectious disease that is not caused by pathogens. So it's not caused by pathogens and it's not infectious. Non-communicable diseases are caused by lifestyle factors. Okay, so are you getting enough exercise? Are you eating a balanced diet? Are you exposing yourself to lots of radiation? So a non-communicable disease is caused by a person's genetics and /or lifestyle. Some examples of non-communicable diseases include, so e.g., we can say heart disease, we can say cancer, we can say diabetes. These are all diseases that you can't catch from somebody. They're not caused by a pathogen, but instead they're caused by your genetics and your lifestyle. Now, sadly, in developed countries such as the UK, such as the US, such as France, such as Japan, Non-communicable diseases are the largest cause of death. So I'm going to write in red that non-communicable disease is the biggest cause of death in developed countries. In developed countries. Okay? Now, exactly like the banana in our starter, the banana is an example of a risk factor. Having a banana on the floor doesn't mean I will 100% fall over. It increases my chance of falling over. And non-communicable diseases such as heart disease, such as diabetes, such as cancer, have certain risk factors attached to them. So our next keyword is the word risk factor. Now, a risk factor is defined as a lifestyle or genetic factor, a lifestyle or genetic factor that increases the chance of developing a disease. That increases the chance of developing a disease. Now, risk factors are not limited to, but they can include, so can include, colon, we've got diet, amount of exercise, we've got workplace. What we mean by workplace is, for example, if you happen to be, I don't know, an X-ray technician in a hospital, you're exposed to lots of radiation, therefore increasing your chances of getting cancer. If you work if you're a mechanic and you work in a garage where there's lots of carbon monoxide fumes, that can have an impact on your lungs. Sexual habits can have an effect. So sexual habits. We've got smoking, alcohol consumption, and finally, drug use. These are all risk factors that can increase your chance of developing a particular type of disease. Okay? Now, some non-communicable diseases might be caused by the interaction of a number of factors. So a number of these risk factors can work together to cause a particular disease. So we can say that non-communicable diseases, so non-communicable diseases may be caused by the interaction of a number of factors. By the interaction of a number of factors. Dot dot. Some examples can include, so we can have the first example being that cardiovascular disease, cardiovascular disease might be caused or can be caused by diet, age, genetics, diet, age, genetics, and exercise. So, just to be clear, that cardiovascular disease can be caused by having a poor diet, being very old, having poor genetics, and a lack of exercise. Okay? Lung disease can be caused by things such as smoking and the cleanliness of the air around you. Liver disease, so which is the next one we'll give space to, liver disease may or can be caused by alcohol, diet, we've got genetics, drug use, and viral infection. Viral infection. Now, it's important to point out here that non-communicable diseases are not caused by pathogens. It's just this viral infection increases your chances of getting it. It's a risk factor. The virus does not actually cause the disease. So I'm just going to underline that in red and say that the virus does not cause the disease. All it does is it increases your chance of getting it, much like the banana in our starter. The banana doesn't cause you to fall, it just increases your chances of falling. The final one we can write down is that type 2 diabetes, change that to white, otherwise my OCD will kick in. So, type 2 diabetes, which we'll talk about in year 11, is caused by or can be caused by poor diet. We can say genetics, and exercise. Okay, these are all things that can cause type 2 diabetes. So a non-communicable disease is a non-infectious disease that is not caused by pathogens. Instead, it's caused by a person's genetics and or their lifestyle. Examples of non-communicable diseases include heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. Not all of them, but that's some of them. Non-communicable disease is the biggest cause of death in developed countries. Risk factors are lifestyle or genetic factors that increase the chance of developing a non-communicable disease. These can include diet, amount of exercise, workplace, sexual habits, smoking, alcohol consumption, and drug use. Non-communicable diseases are caused by the interaction of lots of risk factors. For example, cardiovascular disease is caused by having a poor diet, being old, having the genetics, and a lack of exercise. Liver disease can be caused by drinking lots of alcohol, having a poor diet, having poor genetics, using lots of drugs, and having certain viral infections. And type 2 diabetes can be caused by a poor diet, genetics, and a lack of exercise. Let's get this final bit done. We haven't actually got that much left to do now. We've done a lot, but I've run out of room, sadly, so I have to wipe off my masterpiece. Every time I have to wipe off the board, be it on here or be it in real life, a part of me dies on the inside. So we can say that some risk factors, and I'm going to put this in red in fact, it's important, some risk factors can be controlled while others cannot. While others cannot. Now, sadly, things like your genetics, things like your age, you can't help. Okay? So things like genetics and age, you cannot help. We've all got to get old, and we've all got the genetics that we were born with. On the other hand, the ones that can be controlled are things like diet, exercise. These can be controlled, okay? We can determine how exposed we are to these risk factors. Now, our final keyword today is the word or term causal, if I can spell causal properly. I've put casual in my notes, it's causal mechanism. Now, a causal mechanism, and it's quite a long definition, is defined as where a direct link has been made between a disease and a risk factor. Between a disease and a risk factor. Okay? Now, an example of this would be smoking and lung cancer. I'm going to just break this down a little bit so that we haven't got to do a really long definition. We can add underneath here, we can say, e.g., smoking and lung cancer. It has been shown that if you smoke lots of cigarettes, your chances of getting lung cancer go up. Smoking directly causes lung cancer. Another example of this would be alcohol consumption. Alcohol consumption and liver damage. Okay? The more alcohol you consume, the more your liver becomes damaged. Now, this is not the case for everything. We cannot say that a poor diet 100% on its own causes diabetes. We can't say that a viral infection 100% causes cancer, such as HPV. If you have HPV, you're more likely to get ovarian cancer. So there's only certain things we can say this about. So we can write underneath here, we can say that not all factors are causal mechanisms. and we can put e.g. poor diet alone does not cause diabetes. You also have to have other factors at play, such as poor genetics, such as a lack of exercise. So we can say poor diet alone does not cause diabetes. Other risk factors contribute. What I'm trying to say is that if you are a causal mechanism such as smoking and lung cancer, if you do not have any of the other risk factors, if your genetics are perfect, if you're young, if you exercise a lot, your diet is perfect, you don't work anywhere where there's lots of fumes, but you smoke, your chances of getting lung cancer increase dramatically. You're much more likely to get lung cancer. If you drink lots of alcohol but everything else in your life is perfect, your chances of getting liver damage is very, very high. These are known as causal mechanisms. So, you should be able to recall some non-communicable diseases. You should be able to explain how lifestyle can affect non-communicable diseases. And you should be able to say, explain how lifestyle can affect some non-communicable diseases. What I would like you to do now is I would like you please to pause this video, and in your own words I would like you to write down what these graphs tell us about the link between smoking and lung cancer. Make sure you've got a different coloured pen to hand, because we're going to be marking this, we're going to be going through it, because the majority of what you need to know for your exams will be based off reading graphs. A lot of this B7 topic is based off graph reading, okay? So I would like you to pause the video now. I'd like you to answer the question. Make sure you've got a different coloured pen, preferably green, and then play the video again and I will go over the answers. Okay then, so you should have paused the video and you should have had a go at these questions. Now, what the question is asking us is, what do these graphs tell us about the link between smoking and lung cancer? So if we can just wipe our board off, turn it back to black, insert our graphs, probably make them a bit bigger. Yeah, that's it. Make them bigger. We can bring back our pen. We can put it into red so that I can mark. So it's asking, what do these graphs show about smoking and lung cancer? The first thing I'm going to write down, if this is an exam, you always use numbers from the graph or graphs. Okay, it's no good them giving you a graph and saying what do these show about lung cancer and smoking and you not using them. Okay, so what we've got is, on the left we've got a graph showing that the number of cigarettes smoked per person over years that are going on from 1900 to 1990, and we've got the incidence of lung cancer per 100,000 per year from 1900 to 1940. So straight away, the first thing we can say by looking at these is that in men there is much more likelihood of getting lung cancer than there is in women. We can see this because lung cancer cases go up and then level off, whereas with women, they've only just started to rise. However, having said that, men, over the past 100 years, have been more likely to smoke. According to this, there was very few smokers among women until about 1925, whereas in men, it was before even the 1900s. So we can say that more men smoke than women. And to back this up, because we've said from at the start that we need to use numbers from the graph, we can say, e.g., in 1960, we'll say, I'm just picking a random one, I'm making this up, well, I'm not making it up as I go along, but answering it as I go. In 1960, there was about 5,000 cigarettes smoked per year, whereas among men, whereas among women in 1960, there was about 2,000 smoked per year. So e.g. 1960, we can put men, we can put, what did we say, 5,000 per year, I'll just put PY, and women, we can say that they smoked about roughly, very roughly, about 2,000 per year. So there was double the amount of smokers in 1960 among men than there was among women. We can also say from these graphs that men are more likely to develop lung cancer. And we need to back it up again using the graphs, and we can say, for example, 1980, so e.g. 1980, men, the number of deaths per 100,000 among men was roughly about 90. Whereas among women, it is about 30, let's say 30, okay? So in 1980, there was about 90 deaths per 100,000 people due to lung cancer, whereas in women, there was only about 30 deaths due to lung cancer, okay? So we've said that the more men smoke than women, men are more likely to develop lung cancer. We can say, however, that if you look at the top, as the number of smokers is coming down, the number of deaths has still continued to rise. There hasn't been a decrease. If you look, this graph tends to level off. There hasn't been a decrease in the number of deaths. It looks as though this is going to cross, this blue line is going to go across this. So we can say that leveling off on men's graph is likely to cross over. But at the same time, as the number of women smoking has gone up, the number of lung cancer cases have gone up. So we can say as number of women smokers has gone up, comma, so has lung cancer cases. So has lung cancer cases. So these are the sort of things you need to be able to do. You need to be able to look at graphs. You need to be able to circle numbers and figures. So the numbers and figures we used were 1960, the number of smokers. So men was about 5,000, whereas in women it was about, what did we say, 40? 2,000, yeah. We also says in 1980 that we had this number of deaths in men, whereas in 1980 we had this number of deaths in women. it certainly shows that there is a link. Okay, it is a causal mechanism. So you should have added that smoking is a causal mechanism for lung cancer. However, I would suggest that men are more likely to get lung cancer because they have a higher incidence of it. Women, even though they are now smoking close to 100 per day, their deaths are still only down here. Whereas men's, when they're smoking about 100 per day, their deaths are very, very close. Okay? So I hope this has been some help. You should have made all these notes in your books. You should have had a go at this question and marked and corrected it with a green pen. I will see you next lesson where we will continue working through B7. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below on Google Classrooms or send me an email and I will answer them directly. Until next time, thank you very much.